Welcome to your weekly roundup from 888 Poker at the 50th Annual World Series of Poker. It's week 6 and there has been a ton of action this past week, so let's get right into it. Players continue to reach the pinnacle of poker and capture the coveted gold prize, including longtime pro Brandon Adams, who won the WSOP.com online high roller and explained to Will Shillibier that the jury is still out on exactly what an online bracelet means.
Oh, it feels amazing. It does feel like a burden off the back. Although it is an online event, we don't count it exactly the same, or we don't know how we count it yet, but it still feels very sweet.
The Final 50 concluded today after an incredibly stacked final table, which of course is to be expected. This is known as Event 90 since it was actually an event added after the schedule was already released, which left players in the 25K fantasy draft in an unprecedented position of deciding whether or not to include this event in their draft. After a 3-person panel of independent poker players looked at the issue, they concluded the Final 50 would not indeed count. However, all of this was of little matter to the 123 entrant field, battling it out for the top prize of $1.6 million. Ultimately, it was Danny Tang who captured his first bracelet, and I was tableside after his win.
Just win the first bracelet from Vegas in a no-limit hold'em event, and the first bracelet was actually from Razadov, from a good friend of mine, Danny Tang, and it's just unreal. Like, me and him both got a bracelet each now, and I don't know, words can't describe it.
Have a look at all the winners this last week. Now, not everyone was a winner this last week, and in fact, several people were asked to leave the Rio and never return to Ceasars properties again. Russian pro Georgii Belianin was DQ'd after winning a small pot and swiping a dead stack into his own. Jack Effel, the vice president of the World Series of Poker, responded by saying that you shouldn't touch chips that don't belong to you, plain and simple. Now, while I think most players would agree with that, many players piped up in defense of Belianin, saying this was out of character for him, and some players who were there and witnessed the moment said that he was very clearly intoxicated. Belianin subsequently released a statement asking the poker community and the World Series of Poker for forgiveness and explaining that he's been experiencing some personal issues and that he was extremely drunk. There's been some talk that the trespass may be eventually removed, but at this point, that's all speculation, and we'll keep you posted as the story evolves. You can find the complete statement from Belianin in the article in the description below. The other disqualification was probably a little more talked about and certainly more viral, if nothing else, more extreme. A player who's yet to be identified to the media went all in blind, dropped his pants, and then proceeded to throw a shoe at the dealer. This video courtesy of Scott Davies.
My pants now? I'm all in blind!
Stop it! Well, apparently the player was not done yet, as he was later videoed exhibiting similar antics at the Luxor.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh my God.
With 6 weeks of the 2019 World Series of Poker in the books, no less than 74 bracelets have already been awarded. But with more than a week left to go, there are still 16 more to be won. There are also still plenty of opportunities for players to accumulate 2019 WSOP Player of the Year points to make runs at that title. Now, after winning his second bracelet of the summer last week in event number 67, the 10K 7-card stud high-low championship, Robert Campbell swiftly catapulted from number 11 to number 1 in the POY rankings. A week later, he's still on top, with Dan Zach at number 2 and Philip Hui at number 3, also right where they were after Campbell passed them. Although Sean Deeb is currently chip leader in the little 1-for-1 drop at number 4, so this race is going to be close, and Sean is looking to be the first player to win back-to-back Player of the Year titles and probably a ridiculous amount of money in prop bets. Have a look at where the players stand as of today. A nearby 7.1 magnitude earthquake in Southern California sent shockwaves through the Rio, creating somewhat of a panic in the halls of the convention center and also on the floor. Officials decided to send players on dinner break early as a safety precaution, and Uncle Ron captured what it looked like and shared it on his Twitter.
She's shaking.
Oh shit. Everybody. I'm getting out of here. Blair, get out of here. We got another earthquake.
Fans were, of course, disappointed when Phil Ivey, Daniel Negreanu, and Phil Hellmuth all busted the main event early on. Daniel made an incredible fold before he busted, showcasing his reading ability and reiterating a line he is notorious for: everything at the table conveys information. And Phil Hellmuth, well, he was quintessential Phil Hellmuth. He late regged the main event after missing much of the WSOP on a holiday with friends and family. The hand that sent Hellmuth off the rails was a failed triple barrel bluff with 5 high, where he was called down by Ku Vang in a 3-bet pot. In his exit interview with Kara Scott via PokerGo, Hellmuth said, "In the main event, you're dealing with people that just don't play very often. And so when you try something sophisticated, it's very difficult to get away with it. It's my fault, and I own it." I might have reacted differently, but Vang was a class act all the way, and based on Phil's Twitter, it looks like the Poker Brat's antics were well received, and the two might even have a bromance in the works. Next week will be the last highlights video of the 50th Annual World Series of Poker, and we will have a new champion. PokerNews is the #1 source for poker news in the world, and we will be there with you with all the chip counts, hand analysis, interviews, videos, podcasts, and more, so don't click away. I'm Sarah Herring, and you're on PokerNews.com.